What's up, guys? So I had a long video for you guys today. It took me about 3 hours to edit it, and well, long story short, I learned a valuable lesson about Premiere Pro today, the software I use to edit the videos. And although it'll never happen again, I completely lost the video. So what I'm going to do instead, since I really want to get some kind of update out today, is I'm just going to tell you guys about what happened these last few days. So I drove the car home, everything was great. The car was leaking a lot of oil though. So what I did so far is, oh, and by the way, tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to upload a bunch of driving clips from the other night because I hit, well, I don't know how much boost I hit, but I was going wide open throttle a lot. I got one tune revision from Frank so far, so the car is feeling really strong, but I just want to fix this oil leak before I continue driving. I thought I fixed the leak, that's why I was out driving. So, so far, I made my own gasket for the cam cover that goes right in here because the shop said that that was leaking, and I thought that that was leaking, so yeah, I made a new one out of some material. I'll show you guys the gasket material I used. But it's still leaking a lot. So then I saw that the head was really wet, so I replaced the valve cover gasket. I made sure to do the proper torque sequence and everything. Cleaned everything off, started the car, still leaking a lot. All down the back side of the block, all down the subframe, the axle, lower control arms, transmission, everywhere. Like it's leaking a lot of oil. So now that the valve cover gasket still is new, it's still leaking on the head. So now I'm thinking it's the cam tower right here. So that's what holds the cams in. I did throw in my stock cams literally the day that I dropped the car off at the shop. So for all I know, that could be bad. I never had time to actually check it. So what I just did was I picked up all of the parts needed, well, most of them, from Volkswagen to throw the aftermarket cams back in. So I'm gonna be doing that this weekend. That includes taking the timing belt off too, so I'm just gonna replace the tensioner again. The belt is soaked with oil, so I'm gonna replace that. But yeah, you can probably see some of these stains from the oil. There was a ton, and actually, you can still see that everything is kind of like soaked and dripping. You can see the transfer case right there. Everything has a lot of oil on it. Oh, and randomly, when I tried to start my car to test if it was still leaking, my PM4 was suddenly just not working and the car wouldn't start. I wasn't getting any fuel pressure at all. So that was kind of weird, but yeah. Let's see if I can switch the camera around. You guys can see my quarantine. No, you can't. Can't switch it around. I guess you gotta look at this. I haven't cut my hair since quarantine started, and it is freaking insane. It looks crazy. Anyway, I'll show you guys the gasket material I used, and then yeah, I'm gonna throw in that P3 gauge while I'm at it here. That'll give me something to do with you guys here while I'm explaining more stuff. So I started this the other day. So far I pulled off this little guy that goes right there, and then this piece just pops out. You just pull it off, and there's a little screw right there that I took out, and then there's two screws down here, bam bam, and now this guy should come out. Probably gonna have to just take this guy out. Now am I missing? Oh, there's still one more right there. So I got this P3 gauge probably like months ago at this point. It was before I dropped the car off. I actually half installed it before I dropped the car off, and then I was kind of out of time, so I had to just kind of like tuck it underneath there. Hopefully you guys can see that. So the hose was ran. It was just kind of like, I don't know, it was brought to the gauge, but it wasn't fully installed. All right, I dropped that screw in there, but that'll come out. So what I'm just gonna do is grab the gauge, throw it in here, run the wire down to this, and then like find a spot to tuck it in. And maybe I can show you guys what the gauge looks like. What else happened? Oh, my brake lights. I fixed my brake lights. They were stuck on before. Let's see, I'll show you guys what that looks like. So I fixed them, so you're not gonna see what it looks like, but in the last video, so brake lights are no longer always on. Oh, my nighttime lights are on. There we go. So, lights are not stuck on anymore. You can see the third brake light's not on. So, thank you to Leo, my dude Leo. He asked me how my car was. I was like, my brake lights are stuck on. I didn't even have to look it up or anything. He was like, oh, the connector for that is right in front of the brake booster, like underneath the master reservoir. So, sure enough, right down there, you can see the connector. That connector was really, really loose. It was basically like hanging out. That connector's broken, actually. I just kind of stuck it back in temporarily. It hasn't come out yet. I went for a nice long drive the other night. I need to get a new connector because the male end broke right into the female end and it's stuck in there. So I'm gonna have to buy the new connector and repin those connectors. So that's fun. But yeah, tonight I'm gonna be putting those aftermarket cams in. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping from one thing to another. I'm gonna be putting those aftermarket cams in, redoing the timing belt, and unfortunately that gasket I made probably isn't gonna be good to be reused again, so that kind of sucks. But I'll show you real quick. Oh, and I got a small headlight update too. Sorry, I'm really jumping from one thing to another. Here's my gauge. It's just drying right now. I had some liquid electrical tape just like in there, because you have to cut a hole to run the wire. So it's a pretty easy install. I made video clips on this. If you guys actually want to see the video clips of like me taking this apart, this is just the stock vent. I just took it apart to stick that in there. If you guys want to see those clips, let me know, comment below. But at this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to make a video on that, because it's been a few months and like it's kind of simple anyway. But let me know. I still have all the video clips saved for that. So if you guys do want to see that, I will show it to you. So here's the cam housing OEM gasket. Here's the only thing I can show you. This is the inner part of the gasket material that I cut out. But I traced this gasket. I made the exact size and shape of this gasket. It's an exact copy, just in this other material. This material is twice the thickness. It is good for oil, gas, coolant, anything. So this did seem to fix the leak coming from the cam cover, but it didn't fix the massive leak coming out of somewhere else, which, you know, I'm thinking is the cam tower or the cam girdle, whatever you want to call it. The mini update on the headlight is that I got all of the Permaseal out from the track. I did it with a heat gun again. It took me probably an hour and a half just to get that out. Like after I got the lens off, Permaseal was still stuck in there. It took me about an hour and a half. So what I'm gonna do next, once I get this oil leak fixed, is throw the other headlights in my girlfriend's oven, because her oven is huge. It's big enough to fit these, and it has better temperature control than mine does. Mine will just burn the whole housing. So yeah, that should be a lot easier. Then I can finally make another video on the headlights and everything I'm doing with those. So sorry guys again for jumping around with this video. I really wanted to get something out for you guys. This is essentially like me doing a live video, and I would just make this live, but I don't have any Wi-Fi out here and I don't have unlimited data. And well, second reason is there's probably not going to be anyone watching this. Probably like literally 5 of you if I'm lucky, I would think. Yeah, so should probably go grab that gauge. That would help. We're at 10 minutes here, so I'll probably only keep this on for maybe like 5 more minutes. I'm trying to think if there's any other updates. Oh, so you can see right here, my car was jacked up. It was all the way backed up where the tires were like right on the edge of the grass right here, and it was jacked up, so the tail pipes were kind of like pointing down a little bit. Look at these marks on the grass. It was like dripping with this black liquid that we're suspecting is from it running really rich. It's idling really, really rich. We're not sure if it's because of the low pressure fuel pump, since it's a very big low pressure fuel pump and it's supplying too much fuel at idle, because you can only bring the duty cycle down to 50%. You can't bring it down any lower. Not sure if that's the reason or what, but that is a slight issue. The idle is kind of like not choppy, but it kind of stutters. It kind of like goes up and down a little bit. Yeah, not sure if that's because of the low pressure fuel pump or what, but I'm actually installing a different low pressure fuel pump anyway, so I don't want Frank to map this one yet until I put that other one in. I'm gonna put that other one in this weekend if these leaks are fixed, and then I can finally like clean up all the wiring back here, because that's kind of a mess. Yeah, so yeah, let's go grab that gauge, and I'm gonna pretend you guys don't see that other car over there, because that is a really, really, really big update that is for another video, or like 3 videos, because there's a lot to say about that topic and I don't want to draw too much attention to it. If you guys made it this far in the video, like, this is probably not the most exciting video. If you made it this far in this video, then, you know, you guys deserve to see this car, I think. But otherwise, like, I'm kind of keeping it on the low for now, because the plans that I have for it, I don't want the plans that I have for it to overshadow this car. Because, I mean, I just got this car back. She's running like a beast, and I want to enjoy her for now. But at the same time, this project, the big turbo and everything, I thought it was going to be done over a year ago. So I've had my mind on that next project for a while. So that's not to take away from this car. I love this car. And actually, that other car, the plans for it involve this car. Sorry, I'm kind of talking like in a cryptic manner, but I don't want to spoil anything yet. But just know that there are even bigger things coming for this Golf R in a lot of different ways. And they will come in time. Alright, so I'm feeding this down. Let's also pull out, well, let's disconnect this guy so I can pass that wire through. Okay, forgot about this guy too. Alright. This reminds me, maybe I'll make a video on my interior LED swap, since I have gotten some questions about that. Where are my keys? I'll show you guys. Well, you guys will see tomorrow in my driving clips, because those are at night. But if you can see, kind of, everything's white in here. Everything's white and blue. You can see the blue. Yeah, that was one of the first things I did. That was when I first got the car, like 2.5 years ago. So down here, here's the rest of the gauge. We got this hose that comes from the engine bay. I had to pass that through the firewall. You can see that it goes up through there. And then this piece goes to the OBD. So let's try to plug that in. And then this goes up to the gauge. So the OBD and this little like electrical adapter piece for the analog boost both go to this connector that goes to where's the other little piece? Here it is. Goes to this little piece right there, and then both of those, sorry, this piece then goes to this wire that goes to the screen. So it's a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be, but it's really not that complicated to set up. So let's see if I can just pop this in for now. That liquid electrical tape is dry enough. It's not completely dry, but it dries enough to know where it's gonna settle within probably like, I don't know, 15 minutes. So I use that stuff all the time. Only in spots where you aren't gonna be able to see it, because that stuff functions really well, but it's not pretty at all. Okay, so with the vent set up like this, it doesn't do anything. You're not going to be able to change the up and down direction of the air, but you can change whether it's actually, yeah, you can still change the left and right, and you can still completely cut it off and completely you can change the flow, which is nice. So let's plug this in and see what she looks like. This gauge has been like, this gauge has been on my list of things that I wanted for this car from the very beginning, but it's so expensive and people ask so much money for it on the used, like in the private sale market, that I never found, well, I wanted to focus on performance mods first anyway, but I also just never found a good deal on these until recently, a few months ago. And this guy was selling this one. So there's two versions of this gauge. One is just like a simple, basically just like a boost gauge, and I forget what other parameters it has. The other one has, it's called like the multi-gauge, it's called. That's the one that has the 0 to 60 timer, and I don't know, I can't even remember what else, but it has more than just the boost gauge. So I wanted the multi gauge, and the multi gauges are always, people are always asking like $350 for it or something like that, or like over $300 for a used gauge when they cost, I forget, like $470 something new, I think. I don't know, like $350 or $400 for a used $470 gauge, in my opinion, is a bit much. But then again, these rarely come to the used market, so I guess that is why people ask so much. It's all about supply and demand. There's a high demand and a low supply, so I guess it makes sense. But I finally found one, and this guy was only asking, I think it was $200 shipped, so it was very, very cheap. So I jumped right on it, even though it wasn't really like something that was even on my radar at the time. All right, so everything should be set up here, and this video is starting to get a little bit long, so I'm probably gonna cut it in like another minute or two. I just want to check out this gauge. It's not working. So I think it just gets power from the the OBD, so I'm not sure why that's not working. Let's close the door so you guys don't have to listen to that dinging. Yeah, so that's definitely plugged in. Well, maybe that's why it was so cheap, is because it's broken. I don't know. Seems like I have everything set up properly, unless I'm missing something big here. But yeah, that guy's definitely not showing anything. Alright, well, I'll have to get that figured out, and maybe I will make a video on this, or maybe I'll just post a little update in the next video. Like I said, tomorrow I will be showing you guys the little night runs that I did the other night. There was no racing, but there was a 335i that I was kind of driving with, who then went to the same meet as I did, and he was like, holy shit, what's done to this? Oh shit. Yeah, but that'll be it for this one. Thank you to anyone who actually watched this. I really just wanted to get this update out there, and I don't want to leave you guys hanging. I really did not want to edit that video again. I started to re-edit it. It was just too much. I don't have the time today to do another 3-hour video edit. So what I'm gonna go do now is go to my buddy's house and pick up some Liqui Moly Mologen. It is dyed oil. So right before I do the cams, right before I do the cams, I'm gonna throw that green dyed oil in and just confirm that it's coming out of the cam tower. So yeah, that does it for this one, and I will see you guys tomorrow with those driving clips.